Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another broadcast from thefamilybusinessbook.com. Now, this morning's video is going to come with a little bit of a disclaimer. I'm going to make it right now at the front, and that is to say that although I give business advice, I am not a professional financial advisor. I'm not registered to give financial advice. I don't give financial advice. And what I'm going to say in the following video is not financial advice. It's just a little walk around a dangerous concept that creeps in when you own a family business. And the video will explain exactly the kind of impact it can have upon your business and your family. The subject I want to talk about today is cash flow. Cash flow is an insidious problem that even quite experienced people in business fail to understand. And the reason that many fail to understand it is because they are feelers rather than thinkers, according to a psychological test called the Myers-Briggs scale. Now, basically, this means that you make your decisions based upon your gut feeling rather than the thoughts and analysis that go on in your head. And in point of fact, in business, you need to be able to do both. But most of us have a bias in one direction or the other. I'm in fact an intuitive, feely kind of person, but I've taught myself how to read a balance sheet and how to understand and think about the various patterns that occur when running a business. So you need to learn how to do that as well. Not because you want to emulate me, but because you want to be successful in running your family-owned business. So what exactly is cash flow? Well, at its most basic, it's when your business has capital, but it's tied up. It has assets such as buildings or stock or machinery, transportation, all that kind of stuff, but it's not generating enough money in order to meet its operating costs. And so there's a shortfall in the day-to-day money that's available. Now, I saw an example of this last year where a boatyard put a large yacht into the water, and it cost them something like about $150 to do this. And once the yacht was floated, they discovered that they'd done something wrong when they installed the propeller, so it had to come out again, and that meant it was going to cost another $120 or so, maybe $150, I can't remember the exact figure. And then of course it would require that much to put it back again once the propeller had been fixed. And suddenly there was pandemonium and panic within the company because somebody had to go and fetch their credit card in order to be able to pay for this. And I'm not going to go into the entire details of exactly what was going on. There was a kind of interfamilial warfare going on within the family in which different people had different responsibilities. And anyway, this fell to somebody's credit card. And this was because there was insufficient cash in the kind of general account in order to make up this kind of shortfall. There was a shortage of money for operating costs. Now, this can happen even in the best of business. One thing that can happen, for example, is you can get an extremely good corporate customer. Somebody like, for example, Barclays Bank. I did some work for them over 20 years ago, and it took me something like 4 months for them to pay me from the date that I submitted my invoice. Not because they were unwilling to pay, but just because they tended to pay late. And very often when you're in business, particularly if you run a relatively small business, you find that the most substantial customers you have, your large corporate customers, actually delay payments to you. So you find yourself in this kind of cash flow situation. And this can really, really harm your business. Now, I'm going to do something quite unusual because in terms of family business, my rivals are accountants and bankers, because they tend to give business owners lots of advice about how to manage financial things, and they're registered to do so. And I'm going to suggest that if you've got a situation in which you're starting to rack up claims against your credit card and you're not in a position to be able to pay off the balance in full at the end of the month on the due date, then you would do very well to speak with your accountant and to analyze very closely those customers that you're servicing, because some of your customers can wreck your business. Now, some people will say that what you should do is simply go to your bank and ask them to provide you with a facility in order to cover the shortfall. And whilst this is sensible advice, if that overdraft facility begins to build over much, the bank are going to want some sort of security in return. And if you are running a limited company, for example, they might want to have the deeds of the building. Or if you are operating a limited company from home, they might even want the deeds of your house as security. So bit by bit, it's possible that you can lose control of your business, even though on paper it seems to be quite robust. Now, why am I talking about this as a family business consultant? Well, the answer is I see lots of people that fall into difficulties with cash flow. And this occurs because they're into a kind of denial. So, for example, if you've got a shortfall in your operating costs, the question is, why don't you go to your banker sooner rather than later? Why are you racking up debt on your credit card? And the answer is really very, very simple, because if you went to your banker, you know that they're likely to say, what the hell are you doing? You know, these figures don't add up. Give me your credit cards now, because I'm going to cut them up before you damage yourself and the bank any further. And no, we're not going to give you an overdraft facility, because you'll be just throwing good money after bad. And this is the real fear, and this is why people use credit card facilities in which there are no questions asked, rather than going to bankers in order to seek out the right kind of advice. So what I say to you is this: if you're in a situation in which you're having to rely on credit from your credit cards, you're not able to pay back the whole of the balance on the required time, you're just paying interest on it, then gather together all of your figures, go to your accountant and examine very, very closely what is going on. Because it could be that you need to get rid of some of your customers that are not paying you at the required time. It could be that they're signaling that they're about to go under. I'm not talking about the big companies like banks or large corporations. I'm talking about people in the same position as you that are defaulting on the dates of their payment. It's really very, very irritating when people fail to pay you on time. Because if you're like me, what you want to be doing is getting on with your business rather than chasing overdue accounts. And getting money back in is part of running your business, unfortunately. But you would do well to get rid of late and bad payers and renegotiate with the rest exactly how soon you're going to be paid. Anyway, that's all I really want to say on this topic today. It's quite early here in Istanbul. We're going to the stables later, but first of all, Iran has to go to our own banks in order to get some documents to do with a visa application that she's making to come and visit us in the UK later in the year. And then I'll be supervising some of the casework that the team have been operating with families in and around Turkey and other parts of the world. So until tomorrow, have a good day and watch your cash flow. And yeah, I hope this has not been too demoralizing for you, but if you're running a business, do it with awareness rather than running it in a state of denial. Till tomorrow, goodbye.
If you enjoyed this video, please take a moment to share your thoughts with other family business owners in the comments section below. You can also respond to thoughts posted by other viewers. Remember to like and share the video and subscribe to this channel. To be sure to receive notifications, you must also click the bell icon at the top right-hand corner of the YouTube page.